right, Buddy V here. Now, we're sitting in the room with Addy. Booyah. And I'm going to let you tell, or I'm going to let him tell you a little bit of what some of the titles that he has.
Hi, yeah, so my name is Addy, or Addison. I'm a Native American activist, musician. I work in nonprofit and King County Coalition work. It's great to be here.
Heck yeah, thank you. Now, we have a few questions, so kindly agreed to be able to answer, which I'm really excited for. You're going to love all the things that goes on. Now, this is one of my favorite questions that, from number one, I had to do some of my research on, and I really thought this was a perfect question to ask to kind of show the viewers. You are a TwoSpirit. What does that mean?
Yeah, thanks. So, TwoSpirit is kind of a really big identity, and it means a lot of things for a different person. So I could only answer for myself, but for me, what TwoSpirit means is it encapsulates my gender identity as well as my sexual identity and my role in my community as an Indigenous person. And you can ask an Indigenous person or a community what TwoSpirit means, and for them it can mean a lot of different things. A lot of different communities actually have terms in their own language for the roles that the TwoSpirit people play. And for me, it's reaffirming my Indigenous identity while also acknowledging that I have masculine and feminine aspects of myself that I can honor. I have energy that goes beyond that, and it kind of just incorporates my role in my journey, but also in the role I play in my community. And long story short, if you were to ask somebody what TwoSpirit is, it's someone who falls under the LGBTQ umbrella who is also an Indigenous person. So you can't be a non-Native person and not identify as TwoSpirit. So that's the main takeaways of that.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that answer. I hope you're all paying attention. Now, question number 2. You have a Decolonized Podcast, and I have heard I've seen all the videos, listened to them, and I've learned a lot. Now, while I'm a fan, have you run into any haters while doing these videos, these podcasts?
Yeah, I think what happens with anyone who gets a platform online and they want to talk about their identity, or they want to talk about politics, or even topics like sexuality and history and colonization, you're gonna have a lot of backlash. You're gonna have people who might disagree or feel like it might not be your place to speak on certain things. I think a lot of people project their own issues and insecurities onto people who put themselves in a position that they're able to be honest about themselves and the stuff they go through. And so the biggest thing I could say about the haters is that you could just use it as an opportunity to understand why it's happening and realize that it has nothing to do with you. It's just people who have their own issues and they're not ready to deal with it, and that's not your fault. But what you can do is strengthen yourself so that way the next time that happens, it's not going to bother you. And so I think that's what's important, is whenever you encounter someone who's hating on you, just thank them for the validation and that they're even giving you attention, So yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Heck yeah, sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
That's right.
All right. Now, while educating, you use personal experiences to help explain your topic. Has anyone ever thanked you because they can relate and it made them feel not alone?
Yeah. So I think what's important for me is that I'm really honest about what I'm going through, and in the moment I'm going to share it and be transparent. And I think that helps a lot of people, because a lot of people go through similar things and they might not share it. They might feel like they're a burden, or they might not feel like they'll be understood. And sometimes I feel the same way, but I chose to share it anyways. And I end up getting responses from people that say that I've helped them out. They say that I've helped them understand things or made them curious about learning more. And that's always been really rewarding for me, is just to know that what I'm doing is really helping others, whether that be figuring something out for themselves or being able to understand themselves. And that's really important for me.
Oh, man. I'm loving these answers so far. I hope you all too. Yeah. For the fourth question, you said that you have called out social media pages for being one ethnicity and trying to portray another. Even people disowning their own kind because they don't qualify to be indigenous enough. Is it ever frustrating that you hide behind, or that they hide behind a screen saying all that bullshit and that you can't just hit them in the face?
Yeah, it does get frustrating. Because people will say and do things and act a certain way when they know there's no consequences. That's what happens online, is that people they act tougher than they are, and that's unfortunate. But you can't let it get to you, because if you know you're doing the right thing, that's all that really matters. And there's times where it does affect you, because you're only human. But I think those are the times that you can sit there and realize that, that you're not the only one going through things. And for them to do that is recognizing you in a way. I've had people try to invalidate me and say that I'm not native because I don't look a certain way, didn't have a certain experience. I've had someone try to take my job from me. But it happens. It happens when you put yourself out there online and you have certain opinions, or you own yourself in a certain way. But what I've learned is that you just got to stick to your own path. You stick to what you know is right, and it's gonna transform you into the better person that you could be. And those people that are hating, they could either get with the program, or eventually they're gonna be exposed for what they are, and no one wants to give them that kind of attention. So yeah, I just say, you could acknowledge the haters and just say in your own healthy way, but you don't got to return that energy. You know what I mean? I think, at least for me, it takes different kinds of people, and I think you just got to know what kind of warrior you got to be. And for me, I know it's like I'm fighting with my spirit. I'm fighting with my mind, and I'm also not fighting to hurt people. And I think that's the thing, is that people come with you trying to hurt you, and when you're not trying to hurt them, they don't know what to do. And most of the time, that's when they back away, because they have to look at themselves. And then that's when you win. So yeah, it takes a lot of reflection, but it makes you a better person.
All right, heck yeah. Now, number 5. What got you into everything it is that you do?
Yeah, man, that's a pretty cool question, because it makes me think about, it makes me think about all the stuff that I do, and I think it's a lot of cool things. Like, for one, I'm a musician. I make music. I've always wanted to be an artist, growing up as a kid, and I never had the resources really to do that until I became an adult, and I found an app on my phone where I can make music, I can make beats, and the kind of feeling that it gives me, just like, it's just like you're in the moment, you're in the zone, and you're creating something that will never be the same, no matter who else tries, to create it. And that's special. It's something that you express yourself with, and you can own, and it'll be here after you're gone. And you get to decide what that means, and other people can interpret that for what it means for them. So that's why I like music and art. The other things that I'm into, like my internet activism, it really came from me just owning myself, me posting what I'm learning online. I'm an indigenous person. I grew up as a Mexican American, and I learned what it means to be a Native person. I learned that I'm not Hispanic, I'm not Latino. My people were here before that concept. We didn't speak Spanish, and to know that, it empowered me, and it made me really curious and hungry to know more. I wanted to learn more, and so I ended up following more and more people within the community, to the point where I had enough understanding to know when someone was not being genuine. And there was this person online who had a lot of followers, and it was a white girl pretending to be Native. And yeah, it's messed up, because when you're learning who your people are and your identity, and you're trying to find your place as a Native person, as a Mexican American, a Chicano, and then you see a white person wanting to claim it just because it's trendy, or it looks cool, or it'll give them some clout. It was kind of just disrespectful. And she had a lot of followers, but I had a lot of people send me screenshots of her contradicting her identity, and so I ended up posting it, and that's how I got my following online. Was people were following it for the drama, and that's not what I wanted it to be, but at the same time I could not stand up for someone disrespecting our identity. You can't wear us like a costume. You can't, because I can't take this off, and she was buying spray tan from Amazon, and people were screenshotting her doing that. She's buying hair dye and like contacts, and so it's like, you're going that far to try to be one of us. And then I have to deal with even my own people telling me I'm not enough. It's a lot to deal with. So yeah, I think what's important is that you stand up for what you believe in and what you know is right. No matter what backlash you get, because you're always going to get backlash. No one's going to always agree with you, but it doesn't matter, because if you follow in here, then you're going to go to the right place. As long as you honor yourself and you honor your ancestors, your people. That's how you learn. That's how you get better.
Yep. Education is preservation.
Hell yeah.
All right. So, number 6. I know that you support fellow Chicanos and minorities. Do you have any favorite artists that you would like to recommend to the viewers?
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows Selena, right? Selena's a legend. Rest her soul. Can't stand Yolanda's ass for doing that to her. But there's more Chicano artists. There's a band called Ozamati. They're legendary. They do so much different music, fusions. They were on the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 soundtrack. They did the Happy Feet soundtrack. They do music in a blend of genres that is really, really awesome, and it kind of celebrates the history of our people. And so I think that's one band to look at. There's also an artist called Cuco. Yeah. And Cuco is really dope. He's a young artist who does just, I don't know what to call it. I would call it psychedelic bedroom, rock pop. Like, it's just, it's got really cool. Though. Yeah, it's really cool psychedelic. And I think that's a really cool representation of the art and the creativity that our people have, Our people have a lot of creativity in us if we just have the opportunity to, be able to do that. And, it's a shame that our people for a long time never really had that chance. So anytime I get to be able to amplify any Chicano artist, I want to. Like, there's another band called Chicano Batman. They're fire. They have a fusion of just psychedelic soul and like surfer rock, and they sing in English and Spanish and in Nahuatl, which is the native Aztec language. So I would definitely recommend checking them out. They do some political stuff as well. So those are 3 Chicano artists that I would recommend. Not to mention myself, I produce electronic beats, so look me up. I'm Addy Sons on anything from Apple Music, Spotify to Tidal. So yeah, those are some artists I would recommend just to support our people.
Check the music out. You got to check it out. Do you have any influential people that you have learned from, past or present?
Yeah, so I think I'll start with a famous person that is an artist, an activist, an actress, that I really look up to, and her name is Janelle Monáe. She is amazing at everything she does. She is an artist. My favorite album is called The Archandroid. It tells a story about an android from the future who falls in love with a human, and it's kind of an allegory for a queer person falling in love, and it's forbidden love. And growing up listening to that is so important. It's very important, and she has a lot of activism within the Black community, and she not only talks the talk, but she walks the walk, and that's what's important to me. She's Grammy nominated. She's Oscar nominated. She's been in the movie Hidden Figures, Moonlight. That's someone who I look up to as an artist and as someone who wants to do better for my community. She has a music collective, and she has her own record company, and she's a CEO, and she puts on her people. And so I think that's why I look up to her. It's very important for me to be community oriented.
Absolutely, man. I can dig that. Oh man, Do you have a favorite quote?
Yeah, I actually have two favorite quotes. So the first one is, it goes back to our Chicano roots. This one is called, they thought they could bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. It's time to rise, hijos de maíz.
Yeah.
And that one really what it represents to me is that, colonization and history has tried to keep us down as brown people, as Mexican Americans, as Chicanos. And it tried to take our identity, our history, our culture from us. They thought they could bury us, but they didn't know that we were seeds. And the seeds is the next generations. It's the people that you bring up. It's the people that you teach and that you bring with you on your path. And that's who we are. And it's time for us to rise. Hijos de maíz means children of the corn, children of the sun. We are the children of the corn as Mexican Americans, indigenous people. And all it takes is for someone to water us so we could wake up and we could rise up, And when you hear that quote, then all you have to do is make the choice to rise up. And it also, it represents who we are as people of the diaspora, as Mexican Americans who might not know our tribe, but we know we're native, And that's important, because it's like, just because we've lost some of our way or our history, it doesn't make us any less native. But we have to rise up to the occasion, There's another quote that I know that really gets to me, and it's from a video game called BioShock.
Hey, video games got some good shit.
Yeah, it's a really dope game. I'd definitely recommend playing it. But it really has to do with your choices you make. And it says, love is a chemical, and we give it meaning by choice. And for me, what that means is that, for a lot of people, you could try to rationalize, why we do the things we do, or our motivations and all that. But at the end of the day, every human, they want to be loved. They want to feel love, and they want to feel that connection. And even to the person who could just explain love as a chemical or a reaction, it's us people who give that chemical meanings because of our choices. And for me, that represents action. It represents learning and then calling to action. Both quotes are about figuring yourself out, and then what do you do from there? And I think that's a really important way to look at your whole life, and you never stop. Just because you think you have something figured out doesn't mean you have. You need to continue. If you've reached a really good place, that's great. You could celebrate, but don't just think that's the end. You could always learn. You could always grow. And I think that's important. It's just about making that choice. So when I look at those two quotes, I really think about, why are we here? A lot of ourselves don't ask these questions because maybe we don't have the time, or maybe because we think we have it figured out. But I think it's always important to ask questions about yourself and your motivations and your beliefs, and where does it come from? And do you have a choice to continue or not? And, for a lot of people that they feel like they're stuck, it's because they won't look at themselves. It's because they don't want to face themselves. It might hurt, but, it's going to hurt more to stay where you're at. You have to want more. You have to be hungry. And so that's why I like those two quotes, because they really just empower you with the knowledge to then do what you feel is right for yourself. And I think that's going to look different for everybody, but you have to get there, and you have to want it.
Absolutely. Well said. Every word is well spoken. I hope every single person is getting something out of this video. I truly do. Now, the other question that I have, and I guess I could say my last one, is do you have any final words, any thoughts, anything at all for the viewers that are watching right now?
Yeah. I would say you have to learn who you are, and you have to learn to love yourself. You have to learn how to accept who you are, if you want to change yourself. And that's the first place to start for anything you do. I think that a lot of the times people have their own ideas about what they should do or who they should be that involves everything but themselves or their own interests. And it might be because they have no idea what they truly want, and they spend their whole life in misery because of that. So I encourage everyone to really ask yourself, who is the person that you want to be, and are you reaching that? And if you're not, that's okay, and you don't have to beat yourself up, but you have to get to the point where you can realize your own value. And I know a lot of people struggle with mental health issues and depression, and that can be hard. And I just want to remind you that you're still here, and that's for a reason, you know? And you might not know the reason yet, but you have all the time in the world to figure that out if you just give yourself a chance. So I want to say thank you.
All right, hell yeah, thank you. It was awesome to have you on. Give me some.
Hell yeah, man.
All right, now give me some dab. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Appreciate it, bro.
And notice how every band that he said I knew too, because, you know, Chicano, we know good music.
Yeah.
It's in our blood.
That's right. Let's support our people,
Hell
man.
yeah. So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Every single link that I have for social media, whatever, is going to be down below in the description. Make sure you check music out, content out, Instagram pages, everything. So, till next time, till the next video, I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.